Grosse Pointe, Michigan is a hidden treasure here in Southeast Michigan, to say the least, with its rich culture, priceless shores off Lake St. Clair, charming community, and remarkable architecture. The question is, which Grosse Pointe is the best, since there's 5 of them? There have been quite a few people reaching out to me about Grosse Pointes, not realizing that despite how close they are to one another, they are very much different. They're quintuplets, but very much fraternal. With that being said, let this be your guide for all things Grosse Pointe, Michigan, as I'll break down what to know and how they're different so you can make the most well-informed decision possible. Let's get to it. The 5 Grosse Pointes are the City of Grosse Pointe, Grosse Pointe Farms, Grosse Pointe Park, Grosse Pointe Woods, and Grosse Pointe Shores. Grosse Pointe, which means large point in French, started as a strip along the shore which had what was called ribbon farm homes that stretched all the way to Hamtramck. The area was a marker for canoemen, and in the 1800s a lumber industry began buying plots of land and building these cottages that drew several of the workers to the Grosse Pointes. And to this day, the area is still a lure for those with wealth due to their unmatched shorelines and breathtaking landscapes. The biggest question is, why are there 5 of them, and why do they pretty much have all the same name? And after doing more digging, from what the Grosse Pointe Historical Society mentioned, is this area was all once Grosse Pointe Township, and there was a dispute over alcohol that created this division. Of course, there's a lot more to it, but some of the Grosse Pointes said drinking alcohol led to bad decisions and recklessness, and that not only harmed the community physically, but it didn't exactly give them a good look either. The Grosse Pointes have had the reputation for hundreds of years for being a pretty exclusive community, and when the weather would get warmer, people would venture over to the shore, and in the 1880s it got to be a very heated debate that resulted in these 5 separate municipalities, and that's why you can't have alcohol in some Grosse Pointes to this day. I'm kidding, of course. I know you probably thought it was a cooler reason than that, but unfortunately it's not. And again, there's a lot more to it than alcohol, but that's what people know it for. Now let's get into the specifics of each Grosse Pointe and how they differ from one another. Looking at a map, the most northern point is Grosse Pointe Shores, and then just inland you have Grosse Pointe Woods. Going south you have Grosse Pointe Farms, and then the City of Grosse Pointe, then Grosse Pointe Park. Kicking off with the City of Grosse Pointe, it's 2.25 square miles in size with a population of just under 6,000 people, and it's more of that sparse suburban feel. Grosse Pointe Farms is 12.33 square miles in size with a population of under 10,000 people and is considered to be more rural. Grosse Pointe Park is 3.71 square miles in size with a population of under 12,000 people and is again more of that sparse suburban feeling. Grosse Pointe Woods is 3.24 square miles in size with a population under 17,000 people, feeling a little bit more on that rural side. And last but not least, Grosse Pointe Shores is 19.08 square miles in size with a population of around 2,700 people and is considered rural too, simply due to the houses per square mile. These days, when budget is everything, I thought it would be fair to tackle the home prices in each of these areas to give you a sense of how far you can stretch your dollar, because they are definitely not the same price tag, even though it would seem like they would be. If you could throw a rock to another area and save $250,000, would you? I thought so. Taking a look at these graphs, which shows the average sale price over the last 3 years, this busy looking one has the City of Grosse Pointe in blue, Grosse Pointe Shores in green, Grosse Pointe Woods in yellow, and Grosse Pointe Farms in red. And since there's just so many Grosse Pointes, it bleeds into the second chart that shows Grosse Pointe Park in blue, as well as the whole MLS in green for reference. The City of Grosse Pointe, Michigan has an average sale price of over $507,000, which was a 9.5% increase year over year. Grosse Pointe Shores is just under $2.4 million, which was a 30.4% increase. Grosse Pointe Woods is just over $360,000, which was a 10.4% increase. Grosse Pointe Farms is just over $596,000, an 8.7% increase. Then we have Grosse Pointe Park at just over $525,000, which was a 4.1% increase. So within the Grosse Pointes, The prices ranging from $360,000 to almost $2.4 million, depending on which one you find yourself in. So the area definitely caters to a wide range of home buyers, to say the least. You might be wondering what in the Grosse Pointe Shores is going on here after looking at that stair-step graph, and the reality is homes don't sell very often over there in the village of Grosse Pointe Shores because people like the place. The graphs show there was hardly a home a month that was sold, so when a big house sells, it skews the numbers pretty hard, to say the least. Numbers are pretty cool and all, but what do these homes look like? Fantastic question. As of right now, there are 63 homes and condos for sale in the Grosse Pointes, ranging from a $95,000 condo in the city of Grosse Pointe with 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, 744 square feet, built in 1975 with a shared basement for storage and laundry, and a $250 monthly HOA that covers heat, central AC, water, and all exterior maintenance, to this $4.8 million home in Grosse Pointe Farms. It's not really a home, honestly. It's a castle with 7 bedrooms, 7 bathrooms, over 8,800 square feet, situated on 2.5 acres and built in 1928 with a 3.5 car garage. The most common price point out of all of these 63 results is in the 300s range, with a home or condo available in 3 out of 5 Grosse Pointes, excluding the city and shores, under $325,000. One thing the Grosse Pointes have in common across the board is the historical architecture and style the neighborhoods give off. The majority of the homes are older than 1960 based on MLS data. There's only been 6 homes in the last year out of all 5 of the areas that sold that are newer than 2001. So if you're someone seeking new, modern, sharp-edged homes with a minimal design, these areas probably won't satisfy that need of yours if we were talking about the majority here. Keep in mind, Grosse Pointe was first a French colony, so there's a lot of that inspiration dripping all over the area, but that doesn't mean that there's not variety. You can get your hands on farmhouses, craftsman-style homes, old brick houses with large columns, those 1950s and 60s mid-century modern homes that have kept their character while others have completely renovated and spruced it up, as well as Tudors and Dutch colonials too. It's safe to say the words cookie cutter and Grosse Pointe do not belong in the same sentence, and if they do, it's because Grosse Pointe is far from that. When we talk about home prices, the cost of the home is one thing, but property taxes are another. So I'm going to briefly run through the property tax amounts in each of these communities throughout the Grosse Pointes, so you aren't surprised when you purchased a home in one of these areas, being as the Grosse Pointes are located in Wayne County, except for a part of the village of Grosse Pointe Shores being in Macomb County as well. Pulling this data from the Michigan Property Tax Estimator, this is based on 2022 data, as the 2023 data comes out in August. The millage rate, as I mentioned in several videos, is the rate used to calculate property taxes, as a mill represents $1 for every $1,000 of taxable value. I have several videos I'll link in the description too if you want to learn how to calculate them. For right now, I'll just raise awareness to the millage rates. For a primary residence, a home that you will live in, the city of Grosse Pointe sits at 51.7399. Grosse Pointe Farm sits at 51.7032. Grosse Pointe Park is at 53.9977. Grosse Pointe Woods is sitting at 56.462. The village of Grosse Pointe Shores is at 53.7106 in Wayne County, and the village of Grosse Pointe in Macomb County, that is in the South Lake School District, sits at 45.1241, and again, that is for Grosse Pointe Shores. The spread isn't too drastic unless you do that jump from Wayne County to Macomb County in that Grosse Pointe Shores area, but more times than not, people are willing to take on that expense to get in the Grosse Pointe School District. With the geography, home prices, and property taxes out of the way, I wanted to break down a report card for each of these areas, as well as the rankings they receive before hopping into the community feel. According to niche.com, the city of Grosse Pointe ranks number 8 of 624 best places to retire in Michigan, number 11 of 620 places with the best public schools in Michigan, and number 11 of 336 suburbs with the best public schools in Michigan. Like I said, people will pay a little more for that district. The city of Grosse Pointe was given an overall grade of an A+, which factors in public schools, housing, good for families, jobs, cost of living, outdoor activities, crime and safety, nightlife, diversity, weather, health and fitness, as well as commute. Grosse Pointe Woods ranks number 5 of 624 best places to retire in Michigan, number 7 of 338 best suburbs to buy a house in Michigan, and number 8 of 803 best places to buy a house in Michigan. It's safe to say Grosse Pointe Woods is a good spot to buy a home in Michigan. The overall grade given by niche.com is an A+ once again for all of the factors I listed before. Grosse Pointe Park was ranked number 13 of 620 places with the best public schools in Michigan, number 13 of 336 suburbs with the best public schools in Michigan, and number 16 of 802 best places to raise a family in Michigan. And again, the overall grade is another A+. Moving over to Grosse Pointe Farms, it ranks number 3 of 624 best places to retire in Michigan, number 8 of 338 best suburbs to buy a house in Michigan, and number 9 of 803 best places to buy a house in Michigan. Niche also threw this community an overall grade of an A+. Last but not least, we have Grosse Pointe Shores, which ranks number 1 of 624 best places to retire in Michigan, number 26 of 336 suburbs with the best public schools in Michigan, and number 27 of 338 best suburbs to live in Michigan, while earning an overall grade of, you guessed it, an A+. I wish my report card looked that good in school, to be honest with you. When it comes to the community feel, it's no secret that by everything I've said so far, they are very unique in their own way. The city of Grosse Pointe, for example, has the awesome downtown district, very walkable, clean, and renovated to really perfection while keeping the historic charm to it. It's been a runway for shoppers for over 75 years, and while it has a robust feeling, it still keeps that quaintness that Grosse Pointe is known for. There's a focus on preserving the historic charm while also embracing modern amenities. It's a mix of residential areas, boutique shops, and local businesses. There's a pretty extensive events calendar that I will be sure to link below, provided by the Chamber of Commerce, that spills into all of the different Grosse Pointe communities. Let's just say it's hard not to do something different every single day. Despite the separation of these 5 communities, they have several events and attractions in each community, bringing all the GPers together. Grosse Pointe Woods it's more inland than the other Grosse Pointes, so there tends to be a little bit more amenities like the Lockmore Golf Club, the McCann Ice Arena, a few parks, Grosse Pointe North High School, as well as several restaurants and boutique shops along Mack Avenue. It has a suburban feel to it, with a lot of different recreational opportunities and a closer proximity to some of the cities and areas to the west for additional nearby amenities as well. I have some family in St. Clair Shores just north of Grosse Pointe Woods, and we stroll in there from time to time, to say the least. Grosse Pointe Shores, on the other hand, is much more exclusive and private, with a yacht club, waterfront parks, the old Ford house that is now turned into a museum. This area is purely residential and surrounded by the natural beauty that lines the shores of Lake St. Clair. Grosse Pointe Farms is directly south of Grosse Pointe Shores and is still on the shore, but the area comes inland some more until Mack Avenue, where I said I stroll into from time to time. And one place Grosse Pointe Farms particularly has is the Jagged Fork, which I know has several locations, but it has an amazing breakfast, and it's located on Mack Avenue, and they just make the prettiest pancakes. You'll have to find out for yourself though. This is an exclusive area too, but it's a little bit more open and spacious feeling than Grosse Pointe Shores, with the Country Club of Detroit, the Crescent Sail Yacht Club, and the Pier Park, which has several amenities like pickleball, volleyball, a boat launch, tennis, fishing, basketball, and Tier 36, which is a session area too. Most of the offerings are along Mack Avenue, but there is more along Kercheval Avenue heading into the city of Grosse Pointe. Lastly, we have Grosse Pointe Park, which is the southernmost Grosse Pointe and the closest to Detroit to take advantage of all the amenities that city has to offer. Often referred to as the Park, or GPP. This area has a vibrant commercial district, lots of locally owned businesses known for their tree-lined neighborhoods especially. You have the Matthew C. Patterson Park on the shore, Windmill Point Park, the Olkuski Family Theater, along with several restaurants and shops along not only Mack Avenue, but Kercheval Avenue as well. And like I said, I'll link the events calendar in the description along with some things to do too. The real question is, which Grosse Pointe would you live in and why? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks as always for watching. If you're ever looking to buy, sell, or invest in the Grosse Pointes or anywhere else in Michigan, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to be your go-to resource. Until next time.